So hello and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. No matter where you're joining us, we're really to have you here with us today. Today's presentation is about preparing for graduate school for our incoming graduate students starting in January 2024. Before we get into the presentation, I want to acknowledge the land that's bringing us all together eventually in the winter. So McMaster University recognizes and acknowledges that we're located on the traditional territories of the Mississauga and Haudenosaunee nations, and within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. For our international students, especially our new international students, this may be the very first time you're seeing a land acknowledgement. What this means is we're acknowledging the people who resides in the same piece of land that we're on right now, or way before we got here. And this is something that we really would like to encourage you to explore as an aspect of the Canadian identity. So today's overview, we will talk about a few topics. So I will introduce you to School of Graduate Studies, and we'll talk about, other resources and services for graduate students, and especially resources and services for international students. And for our international students, things that you may be mindful of while you're traveling to McMaster. My name is Yufei. I work at the School of Graduate Studies as the International Graduate Student Coordinator. And I will talk about the School of Graduate Studies with you, and especially noting some of the aspects that may be very important, especially to international students, and some things that international students may be extra mindful of. So yes, so the department I work at is called the School of Graduate Studies. We're located in Gilmore Hall. What we do is we are the central administration and resources for all the faculties. So engineering, business, all of the faculties. And we process admissions, graduation, PhD defenses, and we also kind of host the forms, the policies, and the regulations. We have a scholarships and awards team, a grad pay increase teams, and the student resources team, the graduate student resources team. I am part of that team, and many of my colleagues here are actually in the room today, either supporting in the background, or you'll meet some of them later in the presentation. Our office is physically located in Gilmore Hall 110. We have a desk in the Student Success Center, and you can reach out to us either by visiting our desk or by email askgrad@mcmaster.ca, or use our live chat function on our website. You can contact us about any issues that are related to your enrollment, retrieving online letters from Mosaic, student photo upload, if you're encountering any technical issues. And you can submit service requests to update your records, update your citizenship. And our office also signs CPP forms if this is something that you need to get done. And in general, can contact us about graduate policies and forms that you need to complete if you need to change your status. However, if you do have program-specific questions, so for example, requirements of your own degree, what courses to take, what funding you're receiving, we really recommend for you to ask your program directly, because we won't have program-specific information for all the different programs. Our records team would like to remind you that enrollment for the winter term starts on November 23rd. So if you're able to enroll at that time, we highly recommend for you to mark your calendars to enroll into your courses, and especially to enroll in SGS 101 and SGS 201. So these are online courses and mandatory courses for all new graduate students, especially for our international students who are not here yet. These courses, if you're enrolled in them, they are available to you to complete starting December 1st. So this is something that you may want to do, or you may try to get out of the way earlier before you start your program in December, and complete it before you even get to Canada. And there is a deadline to complete these courses, so please make sure that you do complete them by January 31st. If you're unable to enroll at that time, it may be because your program will have different and additional requirements for you to enroll. And so if you cannot enroll on this date and you're not sure why, please check with your program directly. We also have a step-by-step guide about how to enroll and complete SGS 101 and 201. As graduate students, maybe you're getting financial support or getting payments from the university. And we just want to remind everyone that you may be receiving these payments in two ways. So for example, if you're getting employment income as a teaching assistant or TA or RA in lieu, and if you're getting research scholarships, they're paid directly into your Canadian bank account after you enroll in direct deposit with Human Resources, with HR. If you're receiving other scholarships and awards, they will be sent to you via email e-transfer. So of course, it's a very easy process for you to get the email and then deposit the money into your bank. But just so you know, you may be receiving money in two ways. If you ever have a question about how you're getting paid, you may contact our grad pay team at gradpay@mcmaster.ca. And if you have questions about scholarships and awards, we also have a graduate scholarships team. So this is, I think, a reminder, especially for international students, is the work eligibility in Canada. So to work in Canada, you must have a social insurance number and a Canadian bank account. Both of these items that you will need to get after you arrive in Canada, because of proof that you are a resident, or although a temporary resident in Canada, is required to get a bank account, and a social insurance number is also required because they need to double check that you're eligible to work in Canada. For international students with study permits, there's usually a condition on your study permit, physically printed on your study permit, saying that you're allowed to work in Canada. If you reach a border and you got your study permit and that's not printed, please make sure to check with the border officer before you leave their desk, because usually for a typical study permit, they will have a condition for you to work. But you will only be able to work limited hours, and that's also dependent on your conditions as study permit holders. Usually it is 20 hours, up to 20 hours off campus, and there's no limit on campus. But if you're ever wondering about, meeting your work allowance or kind of exceeding the work allowance, you're more than welcome to reach out to our immigration advisors directly at immigration@mcmaster.ca. Oops. Sorry, I think I skipped the slide. Yes, so just a little bit more notes about getting your social insurance number. So for international students, you may be wondering, okay, I need to get my social insurance number after I get to Canada, but how am I going to do that? By far, the easiest way for you to get it is at the Toronto Pearson International Airport. And usually most of our students arrive at the Toronto Pearson Airport and then travel to Hamilton by land. There is a Service Canada location after you get your study permit. However, they only work regular business hours. So if you do arrive at a time where they're not open, unfortunately, you won't be able to get your social insurance number at that time. We also invited Service Canada on campus on January 3rd, January 5th, and January 9th at our international and exchange student experience space, and you're more than welcome to access these SIN clinics when you're on campus in early January. You can also apply for your social insurance number online. This is very easy to apply for online. It might take some time for you to get your actual social insurance number, but as soon as you apply, they will be able to process it. If you need your social insurance number right away on the spot, you can visit one of the two Service Canada locations in Hamilton. They are a bit far from campus, so that's a bit unfortunate if you do need it right away. So you will need to travel out to the Service Canada locations. And also you can apply for your social insurance number by mail, and we highly do not recommend this option because the government requires you to mail in all your original documents, and mailing can take some time, things can get lost. So we really do not recommend for students to apply for their social insurance number by mail unless they have no other options. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that we have a student resources team at the School of Graduate Studies. And then what our team does is to kind of gather and provide services and resources for students. So the topics can include, transition webinars, introduction webinars like this, but we also have resources about supervisory relationships, academic and professional development, and as well as wellness and community. My colleague Andrea will talk a bit more about these topics a little later. And how we're communicating to students is through the newsletters. So by attending the webinar today, you probably received the email on the left. So we send out emails to our new students about these new information and events that are specifically relevant to our new students. When you become our students, when you become our, actively enrolled students in January, you will start receiving our weekly newsletters. This is when we share news, updates, upcoming events, and upcoming opportunities with all students. And this is sent to your McMaster email starting in January. Again, that's one initiative I want to remind our international students there is an international grad navigator program. It is open right now, and what it does is it matches incoming international graduate students with current international graduate students based on shared cultural background. So it can be connected to a current student who's familiar with your culture, who's directly from a similar culture, and they can help you with any questions that you have about living in Canada and being a student at McMaster. So just a little reminders of things we've talked about, and there's a process, kind of things that you may be mindful of before you get to McMaster. Is if you haven't already done so, we really highly recommend for you to activate your Mac ID. Your Mac ID is the key to practically everything on the McMaster kind of digital atmosphere, so make sure you activate it. Upload your photo for your student card as soon as possible, so when you get to campus, you can pick it up from the registrar's office. Update your personal information on Mosaic if anything has changed. And there are a few key dates to remember. So November 23rd to December 7th is on-time enrollment. If you're able to enroll at that time, please do so. January 25th is our tuition and fees deadline, so make sure you pay your tuition and fees by that time. And January 31st is the deadline for you to complete SGS 101 and 201. I know there's a lot of information being shared, so if you do have any questions, we're available to help you. If you have questions about your conditions clearing from your offer, your course enrollment, what TA assignments you have, and the meeting program requirements, please make sure to contact your program directly, because graduate studies won't have the exact answers to very course or program specific questions. You're more than welcome to contact Grad Studies if you have any general questions about policy, general questions about what to do, and completing confirmation forms, technical issues, or if you're just not sure where to go. For international graduate students, you're always welcome to contact me directly at my personal McMaster email if you need help navigating any of our resources and services. Okay, next, I would like to invite my colleague, Andrea Cole, to talk about resources and services for all graduate students at McMaster.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Yufei. So yeah, my name is Andrea Cole, and I work with Yufei and the other panelists on this call. I'm part of the Student Life team, the Grad Student Resources team, and my role is coordinator for recruitment, retention, and diversity. So I'm really happy to share some more information with you here today about resources and services This is meant to just really familiarize you with what's available. So don't feel the need to memorize everything that we go through here, but hopefully a few things will stick, or you'll remember it throughout in your early stage of the degree or later on. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is resources for supporting the graduate student supervisory relationship. So a lot of our resources are more tailored towards students in a research program. However, I think you can still find value if you're in a course-based master's program as well. One of the resources that we do try to promote is this template called Getting the Supervisory Relationship Off to a Good Start. It's available on the Grad Studies website. We have a hub there for all things grad supervision. And really, this is something that you can download, and it's intended to be completed by both the student and the supervisor at the beginning of the student's program. It's really a communication tool. It's not required by the grad school. Some programs might require it. Your supervisor may require it, but for grad studies, we really just recommend it as a guide to get some of the expectations and communications off to a really positive start, and as you start your degree. Also, on the Grad Studies website, on the Supervision Hub that I mentioned, you'll find more information summarizing all of the expectations and the roles for yourself as a student, those of your supervisor, your program, and your committee. So check out that website if you want to familiarize yourself with those expectations, and recall that it's available to you if you wanted to check something out in the future if you weren't sure about something. It's really intended to support your self-efficacy as a student and help with awareness and effective communication. So just to touch on also what to do if the expectations are not being met in your supervisory relationship. So what we recommend from the grad school is to, first of all, review the expectations that were set out at the beginning of your degree with your supervisor, and review the roles and responsibilities, the guidelines set out by the grad school, so that you can really have an open conversation with your supervisor directly about any concerns that you may have or anything that you wanted to clear up. If a student and a supervisor are still having an issue, it's not resolved at that level, the guidance from the School of Graduate Studies and our guidelines direct students and supervisors to raise an issue with the department chair or the grad chair, director. Each program sort of names it a different thing, but you will know whoever's in charge of your department. That's the person that you would go to, and then collectively you may decide to raise an issue with the associate dean for your faculty if it's particularly complicated. You can also seek support from the Student Wellness Center or your Graduate Students Association. And if you have concerns about mistreatment, harassment, or discrimination at any point throughout your degree, the resources available are through the Equity and Inclusion Office or the University Ombuds. Also, QP 3906 if you have a TA-ship and are part of a collective agreement with employment concerns, as well as a trusted peer, mentor, or staff member. And that includes myself and Yufei in the School of Graduate Studies. If you're not sure of anything, contact us anytime by email. For students with disabilities, your academic accommodations are arranged through Student Accessibility Services, and we do encourage you to contact Student Accessibility Services as soon as possible before classes or your academic work begins to arrange your accommodations. This is the case even if you did a previous degree at McMaster. Each degree may look a little bit different for you in terms of the accommodations arrangements. So be sure to get in touch with SAS as soon as possible if you have a disability requiring academic accommodations. At the same time, if you have work on campus, employment work, or a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship, those accommodations are managed through human resources because it's an employment accommodation as opposed to a student accommodation. So there's more information about how to access that through our website. We have a whole page dedicated to graduate disability and accommodations with other resources there as well. For health and wellness, there is the Student Wellness Center at McMaster where you can go. There's no cost to students out of pocket to attend. You can see a physician. You can meet with a wellness counselor for mental wellness needs. There's one-on-one individual counseling as well as group drop-in and group therapy sessions. So you can find out more about what's available through Student Wellness Center through their website. If you need to book an appointment, you would just phone the number, contact them by phone. And also there is a group of graduate students who are grad wellness peers, and they do a lot of health promotion activity. You can sign up for the grad wellness newsletter to learn about what they're up to, and we'll put the link in the chat for you here. Another health and wellness related group on campus is called Open Circle, which is a diverse and consensus-based community where McMaster students can discuss life and spiritual and societal issues, as well as find meaningful volunteering opportunities available in the broader Hamilton community. So that Open Circle is another great community that we recommend checking out that you may be interested in as well. So the Equity and Inclusion Office is the office that promotes and supports institutional-wide commitments to equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. Their website is here, and I'll just read through the list of types of issues that Equity and Inclusion Office handles, as well as the policies that Equity and Inclusion Office are responsible for. So that's the human rights and dispute resolution, inclusion and anti-racism education. They have an accessibility program. They manage the sexual violence prevention and response team, and they're responsible for McMaster's accessibility policy, discrimination and harassment policy, and sexual violence policy. Moving on to academic resources for scholarly writing support. So the Student Success Center has a writing center, and within the writing center is a graduate writing specialist. Their name is Dr. Karen Rosenberg. Karen is available for one-on-one appointments. Also, you can meet with a peer tutor. They are offering writing workshops and writing intensives, as well as opportunities to develop your writing productivity. So to book an appointment, you would follow the link on our website, and we also have some online resources on our website as well. There is, if you're new to graduate studies, we do have a fairly useful online module that's available on the website called Introduction to Graduate Level Writing, and it will just help you gain familiarity with the types of writing assignments that you will typically be encountering early on and throughout your graduate studies. As you move through your degree, we do have a thesis writer's toolkit that you may find useful to download and have a look at as well. In terms of teaching and learning, so the McPherson Institute for Teaching and Learning is the center on campus that you would go to for support with classroom instructional skills if you are interested in teaching. There's a teaching and learning certificate program that is very popular and you can take. They also offer training for TAs and a variety of workshops that are sort of advertised and promoted through the weekly McPherson memo. So you can find out about opportunities through the website or by signing up for the McPherson memo. And then if you have a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship in lieu of a TA, which will be, you'll know from your offer letter, you are part of a labor union for teaching assistants and research assistants, which I mentioned before. It's QP 3906. So you are protected under the collective agreement, and you also have access to a health plan and advocacy and an international officer, to name a few of the resources that are available for QP members. So libraries and research skills, there's a lot of amazing resources in the libraries, including the librarians who are your friends. The library staff here at McMaster are wonderful. They can support you with consultations on your research, citation management. As well, they can give you access to a dedicated space in Mills Library that's restricted just for graduate students and postdoctoral fellows. So that's a quiet space where you can get some writing and some work done. And there's also various specialized research and innovation centers. A few to name that could be of interest to you are the Sherman Center for Digital Humanities, the Data Analysis Support Hub, or DASH, and the Lyon Center for New Media. So you can find out more on the website or access library support remotely through the link as well. Financial planning resources, we have Max Money Center through the Student Success Center, and the Money Center offers one-on-one meetings with an accredited money coach. There's a variety of workshops, including support to file your Canadian income taxes. And there's actually an event coming up, Meet Max Money Center, on November 22nd. You can come to this event, Managing Your Money in Graduate School. So that's designed just for you. Highly recommend checking that out, and we'll post the link in the chat for more info. There's also, in terms of emergency financial support, if you encounter negative circumstances outside of your control, please contact the registrar office to inquire about emergency financial support that could be that you could be eligible for there. Some other specialized campus communities and support that are important to mention are Indigenous Student Services, the Black Student Success Center, the Spiritual Care and Learning Center, as well as a hub of information for graduate students who are also parents who have kids during their studies. So we'll post those links as well to find out how you can get involved and connected with specialized campus communities. And the Graduate Students Association, which we had mentioned a little bit earlier as well. So your Graduate Students Association is responsible for administering your health and dental insurance, your bus pass, a variety of sports leagues such as soccer and softball. There's a variety of awards and clubs that you can get involved in, as well as bursaries and emergency funds there as well. And as members of the Graduate Students Association, you also have the Phoenix Bar and Restaurant, which is the campus pub owned and operated by your Graduate Students Association. So lots of information about the GSA is available on the website, and you can sign up for their newsletter through the QR code that's on the screen. So all of this that I mentioned, as I'd said earlier, there's a lot of information that I'm going through, but pretty much everything is also found on the Graduate Community Resources page of our website. So do check that out. We also have events listed there and further resources to help you along your graduate student journey. And I think that is my last slide. So I will now hand it back to you, Faye, and over to Anna to talk about resources and services for international students.
Great, thank you, Andrea. And over to you, Anna.
Thanks, you, Faye. Thank you, Andrea. Welcome, everybody. So my name is Anna Prayer. I'm the team lead for the International Exchange Student Experience team within the Student Success Center. On the slide here, you'll see 3 of my team members that you will most likely encounter. We do have a larger team, but these would be the main people that you would most likely encounter in your journey with us. So Andrew Staples, he is the student success coach, and he can help you navigate some personal, professional development. Also, he's a great point of contact if you're just not sure where to go, or if you have any questions. You can either go to UFAE, or you can also come to Andrew, and he can help you navigate the university. Carissa is our immigration and mobility advisor, and Legipe is our immigration consultant. Legipe is completely remote with us, and she deals more with questions on PR, while Carissa is more of your contact person throughout your journey here at McMaster as a student. So some of the services that we have, as mentioned, and for international students, it's very obvious. There's a lot of pressures with immigration. So lots of help with immigration, with your permits, how to extend them, what to do, if you need to work, or if you're doing a co-op or whatever it may be, she's there to help you. Just note that she or we do not represent you as a person. We're just there to guide you. We also do not fill out any paperwork for you when it comes to immigration. Just simply there to guide you on your way. And if you have any questions throughout the application, or when you should be doing what, that's kind of where we come in. Also, we run a ton of activities, socials, webinars, workshops that you are also invited to attend as international graduate students. And then we have our drop-in hours Mondays and Thursdays from 1:30 to 4, and then Tuesdays and Fridays from 9 to 12. So we're located in Musk B112, so that's the basement of the student center. We have a really nice lounge that you can come and hang out with. You can come and have your lunch there, talk to us, meet us. It's your lounge, so come and hang out. Also, you can book appointments with our team through Oscar Plus if you'd like, if those drop-in hours don't work for you. So everything will be through Oscar Plus. Same thing for any events or anything that we're hosting. You have to register through Oscar Plus. So you'll be very familiar with Oscar. It is a portal, it's not a person. Sometimes we have students looking for Oscar. So become familiar with Oscar Plus, and that's where you register for everything. So I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about the University Health Insurance Plan. It'll be very brief, but do know that in January, February, and March, we do have workshops that you can attend that will go more deeply into the UHIP plan. Also, we will have the GSA there with us, and also CUPE, so that we can look at all the plans, and so that you can understand what is covered under UHIP, what's under the GSA, and then what's under CUPE. But for now, so just an introductory, UHIP is the mandatory 12-month plan for all international students who attend McMaster, their dependents meaning spouse and or children, including common law partners. So if you are coming to McMaster, and if you're an international student, you have to be enrolled into the UHIP plan. It is an automatic process. So as soon as you're registered and you're deemed international and you have courses, so you're active, you will automatically see a UHIP charge on your student account. For students who are starting now in January, so you will see on your student account, you'll actually see a charge for the full 12 months. That's just because the plan is 12 months. It's just easier to charge everyone for the full 12 months because there's a smaller cohort that come in January. So for all of you, you just have to send an email to uhip@mcmaster.ca. Just let us know that you are now starting in January. Make sure you add your student number, and then we can go manually in and change your UHIP so that it only starts January 1st until August 31st. And that will also change your premiums. So you will not be charged the original $756, you'll be charged the $504. Again, it is a manual process, so it is up to you, the student, to let us know that you are only starting in January. With that also said, so UHIP knows that when students are moving to a new country, you're not going to arrive January 1st if you're starting school on the 8th. You'll most likely arrive a little bit earlier. So you're actually going to be covered under the UHIP plan as early as December 10th. You don't need to let me know that you arrived. It's just something that's done automatically. You will not have your card until January, because that's when the plan officially starts. If you have to see a doctor from December 10th until January, you'll have to pay for that out of pocket. But then after in January, you can submit a claim to UHIP, and they will pay for your expenses. With all that said, you don't need to remember any of that. If that does happen, just connect with us at the uhip@mcmaster.ca email, and we'll walk you through the steps on how to submit a claim and get reimbursed. We do, like I said, we do have workshops coming up. Every month there will be one webinar that you can attend where you can look more deeply at the UHIP plan and exactly what it covers. So I think this might have been said before, but graduate students, so this is for all graduate students, not just international students. You all are covered under the GSA Supplementary Health and Dental Plan. So just a quick, what is that? That plan covers things like prescription medication, dental, vision, massage therapy, physiotherapy, et cetera, et cetera. It does not cover what UHIP covers, so it's not like you're double covered. UHIP covers more the doctors, the hospitals, the walk-in clinics, all those major things. And then your GSA is a supplementary plan. And it covers just what I had mentioned. Also, if you're a TA or an RA, you will then have CUPE as well. So what will happen is your health benefits under the supplementary plan will stay with the GSA, and your dental benefits will move to CUPE. From what I've been told, I do not administer these plans, but from what I've been told, this is done automatically. So once the GSA knows that you are a TA or an RA, they will move over your benefits to CUPE, and then you have 3 plans if you are a TA or RA. So some other services that international students can tap into while they're here. So there's an office called Model. So it's the McMaster Office for the Development of English Language Learners. And they have a ton of workshops happening all year round. Lots of conversation circles where you can go practice your English, improve your English or practice your English, one-on-one help with students as well, and some of the staff there. They touch on a bunch of topics, things like how to write an email to a professor, or how to like what is it like being in a Canadian classroom. So there's a ton of workshops that they do to help with the integration of international students. And it is a big change, right? Things are done differently in other countries. So it's just making sure and setting you up for success. So a lot of these workshops will be up on Oscar Plus. If you look for the maroon color, so all the events are kind of color coordinated. So the maroon color events are for international students specifically. So look out for those, register for those, and come out to these services that we have for you just to help you integrate into the community. So there's also some other resources that you can participate in. So there are some graduate student clubs. So the GSA, as you know, they're governed by the GSA. There's the IGSA, which is a student club for international graduate students. They put on a ton of events as well. They have a Facebook group page that you can join. Also, City of Hamilton, there's lots of information and resources for new Hamiltonians. It's always good to know the city that you're living in. Get involved, get away from that Westdale bubble. So McMaster is in Westdale. There's a ton of things to do in Hamilton downtown. We have waterfalls. We have a ton of waterfalls. Might be frozen by the time you get here, but they will eventually defrost. And they're very beautiful. So just get into the city and make sure you get outside of Westdale as well. So hold on, Yufe, before I'm gonna keep talking before you go on. So for a lot of students that are coming in now as well, just so you know, in December, from December, I believe 22nd, I think that's a Friday, from that day forward, the university is actually closed until January 3rd when we reopen. For the month of December, including those 2 weeks that were kind of closed, my office will be putting on a lot of events for students. So if you're already here, it's a great time to meet new students, current students, and it gets you kind of set up for the new year. So make sure, again, once those events are posted up on Oscar Plus, which some of them are already up there for December, there's going to be lots of traditional Canadian things that we do over the holiday break, things like cookie decorating, gingerbread house making, the traditional, watching Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2, lots of cozy things in our office to get to know the space, get to know students. So I do invite you, even though you officially only start in January, if you are already here in December and you want to come say hello, please do go on Oscar Plus and register for those events and come out and make new friends.
All right, thank you so much, Anna and Andrea, for sharing all of the information about the resources available. And again, we recognize there were a lot of information being shared, being thrown at you. Please don't feel that you have to remember everything. This is just meant for you to know what kind of resources may be available. So hopefully after you arrive or after you start your program, you may remember that there might be something available to support you in certain areas. So I'll talk a little bit more about traveling to McMaster, especially, for international students who are arriving for the very first time, and especially arriving in January. So as Anna mentioned earlier, arriving during, during December and January times may need a bit more preparation. So from an immigration perspective, we see that international students usually arrive about 2 to 4 weeks before the start of their program. How early or how late you may arrive really depends on your comfort level with traveling to Canada and getting things arranged. So for example, recognizes the holidays. Some of you may decide to spend the holidays with your family before traveling to Canada, while some other students may choose to arrive a little earlier just so they can get their life set up in Canada before the program start. And both are very reasonable decisions. Make sure for international students when you're traveling, make sure to bring all your documents with you in your carry-on luggage, not pack them in your check luggage, because they may be very important for you to access before you get access to your check luggage. So this may include your valid passport, your offer letter confirming that you're coming here as a student, the letter of introduction that you received from the IRCC confirming that your study permit application has been approved, and any financial proof or documents that you've submitted to IRCC just in case the border officer may ask to see them. And whenever you apply for your first Canadian study permit, you will automatically receive a TRV, temporary resident visa, or visitor visa, or electronic travel authorization. So you don't need to apply for them separately if this is your first study permit approval. And of course, any other documents your visa office may tell you to bring. We have this information on our international grad students traveling to McMaster's page for your review. And if you have any questions about immigration, again, please contact our immigration advisors directly. I mentioned a little earlier that most of our students arrive in Hamilton through the Toronto Pearson Airport. So don't worry about booking another flight from Toronto to Hamilton. People traveling usually travel by land after they land in Toronto. So we're about 68 kilometers away from Toronto Pearson Airport, and travel time really depends on the time of the day. If you arrive during rush hour, it may take an hour and a half for you to get to campus, or if you arrive, in the middle of the night or in a time where the highways are not busy, it might only take 45 minutes by driving. There is only one public transportation available from the airport to Hamilton, and it is the GO Bus Route 40. So comparing to, a taxi or an Uber or a rideshare, it is a lot cheaper. The one-way trip will cost about 13 Canadian dollars, I believe, and can get your ticket right at the airport. But it is a public transportation, is a bus. So if you have a lot of things or a lot of luggage with you, you may choose to book a private transportation or get a taxi when you arrive. Some of the common things that we've seen international students share about what to pack is really depending on the region or the country or the area you're coming from and your travel history. Maybe you'll need a power adapter to use electronics you're bringing from your home country. We recommend for you to bring your personal medication for at least a month or 3 months and your doctor's prescriptions so you can get them filled in Canada. You can bring some non-perishable snacks from home just so you can there's some comfort food that may remind you of home if you're not sure if they sell this particular snack in Canada. And make sure that you bring copies of your official documents and your emergency contacts, just in case you need these documents while you're in Canada. When you're preparing for your arrival, we recommend to compare prices of items from your home country in Canada to determine if you should bring them or buy them in Canada, because it's often that students bring things from home that takes up space and then they find they can get the same thing or similar things in Canada for cheaper price. And consider the climate in your home country when compared to Canada. This is especially important because for our students starting in January, you're likely arriving in the winter. So that's December and January months. And it will be cold, unfortunately. And how cold it is depends on where you're coming from. If you're arriving to Canada from a country that just doesn't get winter like the Canadian winter, they might not even sell the clothing or the proper winter gear that can get you through a Canadian winter. So really be mindful of what you can get from home and what you should get in Canada when you're arriving. In the winter, the temperature is regularly below 0 degrees Celsius, and there's likely going to be snow on the ground when you arrive. Historically, January is usually the coldest month in Hamilton, but it will be relatively cold in the whole kind of winter season. So between December and February, maybe you'll even go into March. There's also less daylight during the winter, so you may arrive at around 6 p.m. and notice that it's already very dark. And unfortunately, this is another side of Canadian winter. And the shortest day of the year, I believe, is December 27th or 21st this year, where we'll have the shortest kind of daylight. So Anna also mentioned earlier, if you're arriving to start in January, maybe you may not be aware that a lot of government offices may be closed or have limited hours during the winter holidays. So for example, McMaster University is closed between December 23rd and January 2nd. NS team puts up a lot of really great activities during this period, but from an office perspective, there won't be anyone in the office to assist you with enrollment or with other kind of office needs. So please make sure to note that December 23rd to January 2nd, the university is closed. And if you do need to visit a government office, please make sure to check their hours before you go. We'll talk a little more about preparing for winter in our event next week, on November 15th for international graduate students. In there, we'll kind of go through some what do people look like on campus in the winter? What are students wearing? What are some of the other things you may be mindful of when you're preparing for a Canadian winter? After you arrive at McMaster or arrive in Hamilton, there are some of the things we recommend for you to prioritize and for you to do. So first of all, of course, get your social insurance number, especially if you're going to participate in a TA-ship or if you have work as a component of your program. When you have a Canadian address, make sure to update it in Mosaic and get a Canadian bank account. So we do have a very helpful webinar from Max Money Center talking about banking in Canada. If you want more information about how banking in Canada works, I recommend reviewing that webinar recording. And after uploading your student photo, you can pick up your student ID card at our registrar's office. Optionally, you can also get an Ontario driver's license or Ontario photo card if you prefer to have an official ID around with you all the time, but prefer not to bring your passport everywhere. Winter is also a really great time to be in Hamilton because there will be festivals, events happening around the city. And we really recommend for you to kind of explore what Hamilton has to offer and maybe even take a stroll on campus and our surrounding areas and visit and explore these areas by visiting Nature at Mac. Okay, so just a reminder, we do have 2 live webinars coming up. One is about preparing for winter and the other one's about managing your money in grad school. So I highly recommend for you to go to these webinars if you're interested in these topics. And for our international graduate students, if you are interested in getting connected with the current international graduate students, we encourage you to sign up for the International Grad Navigator program. So thank you for coming to today's event. We hope you learned something or you found something helpful, and even just to kind of see some faces and know that you're always supported and you're always welcome to reach out to us if you ever have any questions.